A girl survives a massive forest fire, untouched. A dead dolphin turns into a man, and an ancient legend awakens. The story begins deep in Cedar Forest at night. Mysterious birds call out as a hunter, Mr. Antunes walks through the humid air. Ignoring his guide's warning, he deliberately shoots a bird, but soon realizes someone or something else is there. Moments later, flames swirl around him like a predator closing in, and then suddenly, he's stabbed in the back. Chico, the young guide, watches the incident unfold in horror. The story of Curupira, a fiery forest spirit, ends here, and we see adult Chico sharing his experience with a curious little girl around a campfire in Brazil. Luna listens as Chico warns her that anyone who hurts the forest or its animals will face Curupira's revenge. We then see Luna's mom, Gabi, an environmentalist who misses her husband, Eric. Upset that he's not at the party, she sends him a video message. Just then, little Luna spots strange flames flickering in the distance and curiously wanders off alone to check them out. Things escalate when the fire spreads fast and swallows the whole forest in seconds. Gabi runs in desperately to save her daughter while the villagers watch them helplessly. When Eric receives a call about the incident, he speeds his car to the scene. Sadly, he's too late. He arrives to see his wife's lifeless body placed on the ground and covered with a plastic sheath. Although Gabi doesn't make it out alive, Luna mysteriously survives, miraculously unharmed. A month later, Eric is back at work, where he is an environmental officer. His boss, Ivo, calls him into the office with an update. The forest fire case is closed, but no one knows how the fire really started. Understandably, Eric's not just grieving, he's furious. Something about Gabi's death doesn't add up. And he's determined to get answers. That evening, Eric and Luna spend some time together, going through an old box of Gabi's things, including photos and newspaper clippings. We learn that Gabi was passionate about protecting the forest and dreamt of turning it into a nature reserve. Sadly, Eric is still haunted by his wife's sudden death. Sometimes he sees her in the mirror, as if she's still there. Other times, he imagines them running on the beach, laughing and fully alive. One morning, while on a walk, Eric comes across a shocking sight, a dead river dolphin washed up on the shore. As he kneels to examine it, he notices something strange. The people who were just standing around it had suddenly vanished. While Eric tends to the dolphin's body, we see Camilla, one of the mysterious onlookers, reporting to her boss Inez. She informs her that they failed to return the dolphin to the water as planned. Inez then sends Isaac, a street-smart teenager, to retrieve the dolphin's body. He's accompanied by Tutu, a massive bodyguard of some sort who clearly means business. Meanwhile, the dolphin story quickly makes national news. As Eric and his partner Marcia drive back to Tor Village, the place where Gabi died, Eric can't stop replaying their last conversation in his head. But there's little time for memories. When they arrive in the village, they're plunged into an even deeper mystery. The shoreline is littered with dead fish. Locals argue fiercely among themselves until we learn a disturbing rumor. Turns out, a construction company has been aggressively buying land, which means that the fire and fish kills might be calculated moves to drive people out of the village. Eric then tries to talk to Chico, the storyteller who told Luna the Curupira legend. However, the old man shuts down completely and refuses to talk. A frustrated Eric returns to his work to find a vet and examine the dolphin, but this task also hits another dead end. When he arrives at the forensics lab, he finds it empty. Now he's stuck driving home with a dead dolphin rotting in his truck bed. Meanwhile, back at Eric's house, things start to get weird. Isaac, the homeless teen, slips inside unnoticed and keeps Luna occupied with clever magic tricks. Just then, he hears an approaching vehicle, and in his hurried escape, he leaves his prosthetic leg behind. Eric parks at the garage and fails to notice the little trickster. Before bed, he reads Luna a Brazilian folktale about Sachi, the famous one-legged trickster with a red bandana. Suddenly, a car alarm goes off outside. Eric runs out to check and catches Isaac hiding behind his truck. Luckily, the kid takes off before Eric can stop him. Eric then proceeds to check inside his truck, but his stomach drops at the sight of it. The dead dolphin is somehow gone instead. There's a man's body with creepy white eyes, just like Gabi had when she died. This is the Encantado legend that has come to life, the one about river dolphins turning into men. But what really shakes Eric is realizing this dead man is the same person from those old newspaper clippings Luna found. He then replays Gabby's last video message on his phone, the one where some guy in a hat bumped into her at the Tor Village party. Now he's staring at that same man's dead body in his truck. The problem is that he has no idea who this guy is, and the only way to find out is to keep digging. Eric then comes up with a clever yet risky idea. He drives to Cedar Forest under cover of darkness, dumps the body, and makes an anonymous call to the police. The next scene shows Eric tossing his clothes into a fire to destroy evidence. After returning home, he's deep in research about the river dolphin legend. Just then, Marcia calls with the news. They've found a body in the Cedar Forest. Arriving at the crime scene, Eric and Marcia meet Detective Mario, who treats the environmental cops like glorified park rangers. The duo also finds Zico lurking around the crime scene. When Eric shows him the body, the old man studies it for a moment and admits he recognizes the dead man. However, he claims he hasn't seen him in a while. The other villagers aren't any more helpful. Doors start closing as soon as they see the cops coming. Eric then visits a home where Fabiana, a pregnant woman, hesitantly lets him in. She nervously whispers that the dead man was called Manaus. Just then, her fiancé Joao bursts in and cuts her off. After investigating further, Eric starts to put the puzzles together. Manaus was always stirring up trouble, too much drinking, and too many women, which fits the dolphin shapeshifter legend a little too well. He'd also been loudly telling folks not to sell their land to developers. When Fabiana realizes he's really dead, she starts hyperventilating. Turns out she is pregnant with Manaus's child. In the meantime, Zico hurries to Inez's parlor and tells her about Manaus's body being found in the forest. She already knew he was dead, but the fact that someone dumped him there, that too in his human form, is new. That evening, Inez slips into the morgue in a strange and mystical way, first as a butterfly, then transforming back into herself in the shadows. She sings softly and puts the guard to sleep with her magical ability to control humans through her song. We see a quick flashback. Manaus is drunk in a bar, causing problems, and Inez is warning him about the consequences of his actions. Cut to the present, Inez calls in a swirling cloud of butterflies which land on Manaus's body and carry it away. It then mysteriously disappears into the night. Later, she tells Camilla and Tutu that Manaus is now part of the legends, but she can't explain his white, empty eyes. It's like his soul was stolen. One thing's clear, she thinks Eric is somehow involved in this. Meanwhile, Fabiana calls Eric to talk more about her lover, Manaus. She reveals that her fiancé, Joao, wasn't always like this. He used to be charming and lovable, but when the developers came offering money, Joao, who'd spent his whole life desperate to escape their small town, suddenly changed his tune. He threw away his values to get in good with them, and that's when Fabiana walked away and ended up with Manaus. He welcomed Fabiana with open arms, just like he apparently did with many women. Now she's carrying his child. News that sent Joao into a rage. The only person who treated Fabiana with kindness was Gabi. That's why she's willing to trust Eric now. Eric then suspects Joao had something to do with the forest fire. But when he immediately goes to confront Joao with this information, it turns out that the latter has a solid alibi. He was out of town when the fire happened. The next morning, when the cops learn that Manaus's body has been stolen, they spring into action, pulling security footage and visitor logs from the morgue. As Eric scans the tapes, his eye catches something strange. A butterfly resting on the wall, and its wings conveniently blocking a key camera angle. Eric works late that night and makes a crucial connection. The Cafofo bar, the known hangout of Inez and her mysterious crew, features butterfly motifs everywhere. He heads there immediately and finds the hulking Tutu guarding the door and Inez waiting inside with a welcoming smile. But the real danger comes when Camilla begins to sing. Camilla's voice gets inside Eric's head, pulling up all the pain he's been carrying, losing his wife Gabi and his deepest fear of raising Luna alone. Before he knows it, he's crying like a kid, completely lost in the song's spell. When he finally snaps out of it, he's knee-deep in water, just in time to see Camilla's human form melt away and reveal a mermaid-like creature beneath. Her webbed hands grab him and drag him under the deep waters. We then get to know more about Camilla, who turns out to be the mythical siren who drags men underwater to drown them. Strangely, this time, Camilla's magic doesn't work as the scene cuts to Eric, fully alive and gasping for air on the riverbank. He coughs up water, staggers to his feet, and storms back to the bar, ready for answers. But Camilla is somehow missing. Tutu goes looking for her and finds her collapsed on a riverside rock, now in full mermaid form. After recovering, Camilla returns to the bar and tells Inez she doesn't think Eric is to blame. Because of this, Inez ends up at the police station for questioning. Marcia leads the interview and questions Inez about her connection to Manaus since they hadn't spoken in 3 months, though they were like mother and son. But things start to go off track when Eric begins to lose his temper. Marcia calms him down and reminds him how hard it was to get their boss, Ivo, to approve the investigation in the first place, which could have been handed over to the homicide department. In the meantime, Ivo meets with Dr. Afonso, the construction company chairman, who presents a report on the mass fish deaths. The findings show no traces of poison, meaning the company won't face an investigation for possibly contaminating the river, a river the local community depends on to survive. Ivo then arrives at the police station and reveals what he calls big news. The construction company is officially cleared of any wrongdoing, but Eric isn't convinced because to him, it feels like a cover-up. Marcia, once confident, starts to waver, especially after a strange interrogation with Inez. During the conversation, Inez had casually mentioned that it had been a long time since Marcia spoke to her mother. Caught off guard, Marcia can't help but wonder how Inez even knew that. Eric's investigation then leads him back to the village where João is busy convincing the others to leave the place. He shows them reports claiming the fish weren't poisoned, and for many villagers, that's enough. With documents in hand, João's version of the story starts to win people over. Only Chico and Fabiana continue to push back. While watching the group, Eric notices Chico slipping away into the woods. He quietly follows the old man as he senses that there's more to the story. When they are alone in the forest, Eric shares what he's uncovered. He saw a dolphin turn into a man, and a mermaid tried to drown him. With these strange experiences, Eric is determined to finally get to the truth. That's when Chico finally speaks. He tells Eric the old legends are true. The spirits or forces from the folk stories still live among them. Whatever happened in the forest that fateful night, he says, was simply a reflection of their own nature. On his way back to the village, Eric is stopped by Camilla at the shore. She offers to help him, and Eric reluctantly lets her inside the car. While driving, Camilla warns him to stay away from Inez and invites him to her apartment that night to explain what she knows. Meanwhile, Luna's great-grandma invites some neighbors over and lets Luna play with their child. The two kids head to the backyard, but things take a strange turn when the friend suddenly runs back inside and begs her parents to go home. Worried, great-grandma goes out to check on Luna and finds her calmly digging in the dirt, trying to bury a dead bird. Luna doesn't show any emotion, but her great-grandma gently tells her the bird has gone to heaven to be with her mom. At work, Eric gets a call from home and returns to find out that Luna has discovered a dead bird outside. His grandmother gently tells him that Luna needs her father, but Eric is too caught up in chasing this mysterious story to realize what's happening around him until he finally realizes he should spend more time with his daughter. During their conversation, we also find out that Eric used to act strangely as a child, just like Luna is now. It was only after his family took him to a folk healer that he started acting normally. His great-grandma suggests doing the same for Luna, but Eric firmly says no. Elsewhere, Camilla gets back to her apartment only to notice someone following her. It's Tutu, sent by Inez to capture her. Before she can react, Tutu grabs her hand and drags her off to the bar. After tucking Luna into bed, Eric heads out to look for Camilla. He learns from a neighbor that Camilla hasn't returned since morning and was seen with a huge man a while ago. Eric realizes she's been taken by Tutu, who brought her back to the bar. When he arrives, Tutu quickly sends him a message saying Camilla is waiting for him in her dressing room. In the next scene, Eric quietly heads down to the creepy basement filled with shamanic objects, including a strange-looking caterpillar that sends a chill down his spine. To add to his horror, Inez appears out of the shadows, and this is when Eric realizes he's trapped in a room with her. With Camilla gone and no way out, Eric feels drawn in by Inez's strange, hypnotic power as she begins to sing softly. This dark witch somehow pulls him into a shadowy world where Eric sees his young self having countless nightmares and fighting back. Inez walks through his memories of haunting childhood and eventually arrives at a door where a young Eric is being treated by a folk healer. The door suddenly closes, and when it opens again, young Eric stands in front of it and pushes Inez away, sending her flying across the room, out of that shadowy place and back into the real world. When Inez finally wakes up, she realizes Eric might be one of them. Then, Tutu tells her that Camilla helped Eric escape from the bar. The scene ends with Inez quietly plotting, determined to find out what Eric really is. Want to see the next part? Help us hit 1,000 likes. Don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment so we know you're ready for more.